By March 1915, the Western Front had settled into a deadly stalemate of trenches stretching from the English Channel to Switzerland, with neither side able to break through. The small French village of Neuve Chapelle, located in the Artois region near the Belgian border, had been occupied by German forces since October 1914. British Field Marshal Sir John French planned the first major British offensive of the war, aiming to capture the village and advance toward the strategic Aubers Ridge. The British assembled the largest concentration of artillery yet seen on the Western Front, 342 guns, including heavy howitzers borrowed from coastal defenses. General Sir Douglas Haig's First Army would lead the assault with 3 divisions, the 7th, 8th, and Indian Corps, totaling approximately 40,000 men. The German defenders belonged to the 14th Reserve Corps under Crown Prince Ruprecht of Bavaria, holding well-constructed trenches with interlocking fields of fire. British intelligence had carefully photographed the German positions from Royal Flying Corps aircraft, creating detailed maps of enemy trenches and strongpoints. At 7:30 a.m. on March 10, 1915, the British artillery bombardment began with unprecedented intensity, designed to destroy German wire and defensive positions. The 35-minute barrage fired more shells than the British had used in the entire Second Boer War, representing a new scale of industrial warfare. German soldiers huddled in their dugouts as British shells methodically worked over their frontline trenches, creating massive craters in the frozen ground. When the bombardment lifted at 8:05 a.m., British infantry advanced across no man's land in the first major coordinated assault of trench warfare. The initial attack achieved remarkable success, as the concentrated artillery had actually cut the German wire, allowing infantry to reach enemy trenches. British troops captured the village of Neuve Chapelle within 2 hours, taking hundreds of German prisoners and advancing 1,200 yards into enemy territory. The 2nd Scottish Rifles and 2nd Middlesex Regiment led the assault in the center, while Indian Corps units attacked on the left flank. German machine gun nests that survived the bombardment inflicted heavy casualties, but the British momentum continued through sheer weight of numbers. By noon on March 10, 1915, the British forces had achieved their primary objective and created the first significant breach in German lines since trench warfare began. However, communication breakdowns plagued the British advance, as telephone lines were cut by their own artillery and runners struggled through the mud. General Haig lost contact with his forward units for crucial hours, unable to coordinate the exploitation of the breakthrough or rush reinforcements forward. The German High Command, initially shocked by the assault's success, quickly organized counterattacks using reserve units stationed behind the front lines. German artillery, positioned on higher ground around Aubers Ridge, began targeting the British positions in Neuve Chapelle with devastating accuracy. Crown Prince Ruprecht personally coordinated the German response, rushing the 16th Bavarian Reserve Division forward to contain the British advance. On March 11th, British attempts to expand their gains were met with fierce German resistance, as the enemy had reorganized their defensive lines. The 1st Battalion Northamptonshire Regiment and other units suffered enormous casualties, attempting to advance beyond the captured village toward Aubers Ridge. German snipers and machine gunners positioned in shell holes and ruined buildings made any movement across open ground extremely dangerous for British forces. The Indian Corps, fighting in European conditions for the first time, demonstrated exceptional courage but struggled with the unfamiliar trench warfare tactics. British artillery support became less effective as German positions were hastily reorganized and camouflaged, making accurate targeting nearly impossible. Field Marshal French ordered continued attacks on March 12, but these assaults lacked the surprise and concentrated firepower of the initial breakthrough. The Rifle Brigade and King's Royal Rifle Corps launched repeated attacks against strengthened German positions, gaining only yards at tremendous cost. German reinforcements arrived throughout March 11th and 12th, including fresh battalions from the 14th and 13th Divisions stationed in reserve areas. The weather deteriorated significantly, with rain turning the battlefield into a quagmire that hampered movement and made resupply extremely difficult. British supply lines stretched across the cratered no-man's land became vulnerable to German artillery fire, limiting ammunition and food for forward units. Medical evacuation proved nightmarish, as wounded soldiers had to be carried across broken ground under constant sniper fire and artillery bombardment. By March 12th, it became clear that the British lacked sufficient reserves and artillery ammunition to exploit their initial breakthrough into a strategic breakthrough. German counterattacks on March 12th recaptured some positions around the village, though British forces managed to hold most of their gains. The battle officially ended on March 12, 1915, with British forces maintaining control of Neuve Chapelle village, but failing to reach Aubers Ridge. British casualties totaled approximately 11,200 men killed, wounded, and missing, while German losses were estimated at around 8,600 casualties. The battle demonstrated both the potential and limitations of concentrated artillery bombardment as a means of breaking through entrenched positions. British tactical innovations included the use of aerial photography for planning and the coordination of infantry advances with lifting artillery barrages. The failure to exploit the initial breakthrough revealed serious deficiencies in British communication systems and command structures at the divisional level. Ammunition shortages became apparent during the battle, leading to the shell crisis that would dominate British politics and military planning throughout 1915. The German defense showed the effectiveness of defense in depth, with reserve positions and counterattack capabilities that could contain even successful breaches.
Neuve Chapelle marked the beginning of major British offensive operations on the Western Front, establishing patterns that would characterize fighting throughout 1915 to 1917. The battle's lessons influenced subsequent British attacks at Aubers Ridge and Loos later in 1915, though many tactical problems remained unresolved. For the German army, Neuve Chapelle demonstrated the need for stronger reserve systems and better coordination between artillery and infantry in defensive operations.
The Battle of Neuve Chapelle thus became a crucial learning experience for both sides, revealing the deadly realities of industrial warfare and trench combat.